I'm dead ass tired. I'm gonna try to blast through this review as quickly as possible, but every time I say that, the review goes on for like 7 minutes. Reverse psychology time. This is gonna be the longest video ever. Strap in. Hope that worked. So the League of Extraordinary Ungentlemanly, that's not what it's called. The Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare, directed by Guy Ritchie. It's based on a true story, but with no doubt wiggle room for Guy Ritchie to be Guy Ritchie. Basically, it takes place during World War II. Henry Cavill plays a leader of a group of guys who essentially take on a covert op. That op sink a German ship. And this story supposedly is, and the movie does address it, that this is the story that inspired Ian Fleming to create the James Bond character. That's what I had heard about this movie. Ian Fleming's even a character in the movie briefly. You probably shouldn't go into this movie with those goggles on though. If you go into this movie being like, all right, I want to see the genesis of James Bond. What inspired the character? You're gonna walk out being like, why wasn't that a bigger part of it? Why was Ian Fleming only in 2 scenes? It's a great sales pitch, but you should probably watch the movie based on what it actually is. Guy Ritchie's spin on a World War II movie in which a group of guys led by Henry Cavill have a mission to do, and on the way to that mission, they do one thing really well: killing Nazis. Also, am I not allowed to say Nazi in a YouTube video? I always see people talking in code on here. It's always like, the bad guys in World War II were deleted. It's like Nazis were killed? Am I not allowed to say that? Guess we'll find out in the monetization of this video whether or not I can. That said, Nazis get mowed down. It's a pretty good fucking time at the movies. And that's where this movie excels, in the action. The firefights, the gunshots, the hits, they're all satisfying. Even the CQC, whether it be knives or arrows, all great hits that I clock into action movies for. That's what I can say this movie feels like. Not only is it, well, it's essentially a Suicide Squad movie.
They're all mad.
They'll need to be.
In World War II times, with no superheroes. But instead of taking out a starfish or one of those inflatable tube men posing as a witch, gotta infiltrate and take out a ship. Is it Henry Cavill and his crew of meat shields? Pretty much. Some stand out more than others. You got Alan Ritchson from Reacher, Asa Gonzalez, who actually has a really cool musical sequence scene, which is totally, I'm like, that's a Guy Ritchie movie, all right. Fun, has a danger of feeling out of place, but it didn't. How professional we are on this channel. That's right, the musical sequence was great. Say nothing about the Cleopatra costume she was wearing right before that. No, the musical number. How interesting. But when I saw the trailer for this and the trailer ended, I looked at the person to the right of me and I was like, so, Dollar Store and Glorious Bastards. Fair enough. I knew them, though. Wasn't a stranger or anything. And at times, you know what this movie felt like? Well, exactly that. I mean, it's honest about it. It was apparently apparent from the trailer, and it absolutely did feel like that at times. Right down to one part in particular, I was like, all right, that really feels like it's from Inglourious Bastards. It's a little different, but still. And at a point, I started to feel the runtime. I was like, okay, this thing could have been 10, 15 minutes shorter. Generously. I feel like that's such a common complaint with me, to the point where I concede to the fact that, well, that's probably a me thing. Regardless, it's how I felt. It's a little uneven in terms of the passage of time. Not just the passage of time, but getting connected with the crew. Case in point, at the very end, you know, you have the picture of the real people from this mission, and it says, hey, by the way, here's a little bit about them. It really would have helped to have a picture of the character from the movie and the actual person they were portraying, because as always, they never looked the same. It just had a picture of the actual person with their name, and I was like, I don't know the names. I don't know these characters' names. I don't know these people's names. This movie didn't make me give enough of a fuck about them, so is that supposed to be Cavill? Kind of has a mustache. Flaws aside, though, in general, I enjoyed myself. It's fun, quirky, funny. Sometimes that vibe lands, sometimes it doesn't. Henry Cavill carries it, no doubt about that. When it comes to the action and the shootouts, badass and satisfying. All in all, I had myself a fun time. No alcohol required. Actually, with the 80s, 90s action movie and Suicide Squad comparison, right down to the part where someone actually has that titular line in the movie. This Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare. I didn't write it, it's in there. This movie probably would have starred Arnold back in the day, in which I really want to see him deliver that line. What are we? Some sort of Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare? So the Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare. Have you seen it? What did you think about it? Whatever you thought, comment below, let me know. And as always, if you like what you've seen here and you want to see more, click right here to see more.